Now, I don't imagine many people will look over the past 10 years as the golden age of Nic Cage's career. Once a quirky and interesting character actor, he soon found himself elevated to leading man status, starring in big, beefy action movies, usually produced by Jerry Bruckheimer. Not to mention an aborted attempt to get a new Superman movie off the ground that would go on to become the stuff of Hollywood infamy. But a series of box office flops in the late 2000s, coupled with mounting financial problems, eventually forced Cage to take on less desirable projects.
No, not the beast! Not the beast! Ah!
No more drugs for that man.
And Jesus, he wasn't exactly picky either. In 2018 alone, he appeared in no fewer than 7 different movies and TV shows. Most of the stuff he did was low budget, low effort, completely forgettable garbage that went straight to streaming, but nonetheless, there were still a few gems to be found amongst this fecal-encrusted filmography, such as Mandy, Pig, or in this case, the absolute masterpiece that is Willy's Wonderland. Ever wondered what it would be like if you crossed Five Nights at Freddy's with Street Fighter 2, all based around a protagonist who doesn't get a single line of dialogue in the entire film? Well, wonder no longer, dear viewer, because Willy's Wonderland is here to provide 88 whole minutes of viewing ecstasy. The film stars Cage as the janitor, a drifter driving through rural America when his car breaks down just outside of some town in the middle of nowhere. With no money to get it fixed, he's presented with a deal by a shady local businessman. Spend the night cleaning up a dilapidated amusement park named Willy's Wonderland, and he'll pay to have the janitor's car repaired. Sounds simple enough, right? Well, not quite. Willy's Wonderland is populated by animatronic animals that were once used to entertain the guests. The animals have long since been shut down and decommissioned, but suddenly one of them springs to life and tries to murder the janitor, forcing him to beat it to death with a mop handle. I love how Cage doesn't even hesitate or question what's happening, he just goes straight into combat mode and starts beating the shit out of this thing. Also, I've got to give the man his credit, he always makes sure to take regular comfort breaks no matter what else is happening, even if other people are literally getting killed around him. That pinball game isn't going to finish itself, you know. And while all this is happening, a group of teenagers show up with the intention of burning down the entire building with the janitor still inside. See, it turns out the robot animals have actually been possessed by the souls of a cannibalistic death cult who took their own lives on this very spot years earlier rather than face capture and imprisonment. Now, every so often they return to continue their murderous rampage, and the only way they can be pacified is for the shady businessman to lure in the occasional unsuspecting victim for them to feast on. Because sure, yeah, why not? Anyway, pretty soon their plan goes wrong and the teenagers end up trapped inside the place with the janitor. Their only option now is to fight their way out through hordes of murderous robots. But will they stick together and make it to safety, or will they all become the latest victims of Willy's Wonderlands? I've always maintained that there's a lot to be said for movies that are aware of their own limitations and absolutely don't give a fuck because they're just out to have a good time, and I think Willy's Wonderland is a prime example. It knows just how flimsy the premise is, it knows Nic Cage is the only member of the cast who can actually act, and it knows it's never going to appeal to anything more than a niche audience. And it doesn't just accept those facts, it embraces them and somehow turns them into strengths instead of weaknesses. So you've managed to bag what used to be an A-list actor for your C-list movie? Cool, let's have him not speak a single line of dialogue in the entire film, but still act like this is all deadly serious. You've got evil, possessed robotic animals as the main villains? Fuck it, let's give them some of the most violent and gory deaths imaginable. You've only got enough budget to shoot in a single location? Fine, we'll even clean up the place once we're done. I mean, who would have thought that watching Nic Cage scrub toilets and polish mirrors would be quite so satisfying? It's all completely and utterly absurd, and yet it's surprisingly fun once it gets going, especially if you've had a few pints of vodka before kicking things off. I mean, you definitely need to be in the right frame of mind to watch this thing, but if you are, then Willy's Wonderland really is a pretty awesome experience. At less than 90 minutes, it certainly never outstays its welcome, and if you're looking for a slightly more offbeat horror comedy featuring one of Hollywood's greatest living memes, then I really don't think you can do much better than Willy's Wonderlands. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.